Okay, hello everybody. Today is Wednesday, May 29th. It's 4:08 p.m., about 8 minutes after the regular session close. You can see my computer clock on my right, and on my left is the time in sales, the E-mini S&P trading at 2780.75. I continued with yesterday's idea of lowering the profit targets on many of the charts that I follow and changing several of them to a single contract. So the performance was outstanding. I was very pleasantly surprised to see that with the lower targets, most of the charts that I follow hit their goals or came close. So it was a very interesting experiment that I started yesterday, and today's a continuation of that. First, I'm just going to show a couple of our regular charts that I didn't adjust any targets with, and then we'll get into the other charts, and I'll explain the adjustments. First up is the DAX on a Super Inco 6 tick, and this is trading two contracts, and in spite of that, it only drew down a little over $400, or let's just say $250 per contract. That's really not that much. So that information helps you if you want to trade a single contract. Anyway, this ended up doing 1787 for the day, and the goal on this one is 1500, so it had excellent positive slippage. The DAX on a 34-tick line break chart has been really impressive. Minor drawdown here, a very small loser, and then two trades back-to-back here. This is using our open range filter, and that is very effective with line break charts. This did 900 for the day. The goal on this one is 1,000, so I imagine it hit its goal, and we had $100 of negative slip. I did reduce the goal on this chart, so effectively looking for $500 per contract. Okay, the DAX on the Super Inco 6 tick that has the trend sensitivity at 9 that absorbs a lot of these swings here. This had a single trade and did 1675, and I have a goal on this of 1500, so again, strong positive slippage on this chart. Okay, the NASDAQ on a 1597 Heikin Ashi chart drew down about $500 or $250 per contract. This is trading two contracts with a goal of $1250, so this had positive slippage with 3 winners and 2 losers. Okay, the crude oil on a Super Inco 6 tick chart had what looks to be 4 trades, 3 winners and 1 loser, and this did $850 for the day. You can see the equity curve down here, no drawdown, and the goal here is 1,000, a limit order with a 2-tick pullback. So I'm not sure. I don't think it hit its goal. I think it just didn't trade again. Okay, very impressed with the bonds on a 500 Heikin Ashi tick chart. This had 2 trades back to back and did 718.75 for the day. The goal on this is 600 on 2 contracts with only an 8-tick profit target. And this has a lot of potential, I believe. Could maybe improve the money management here by trailing after our first target by 1 bar instead of the volatility stop. Okay, next up is the Super Inco 4 tick, and this has a 60-minute higher time frame. I can pretty much tell by the background here, and this hit its goal of 475. Obviously had extreme slippage here. I checked my log and I had some internet outages about this time. So, several times it went on and off, and I think that affected several charts and caused delayed exits on some of these trades. The targets were in there, but I think that's why we got some extreme slippage on several of the charts I'm going to show you. Anyway, this one did, so who's complaining? Okay, next up is the DAX on a 150 Heikin Ashi tick chart. There was 2 trades here, and it finished at 637.50. This is using our open range filter, and I just want to bring this over here. And it didn't trade here because I have it set to the US session, and so that's when it started trading. And the goal on this one is 750, so we probably had some slippage. Okay, next up is the E-mini S&P on a 1597 Heikin-Ashi chart. And looking a little closer at the trades here, we had 3 winners in a row, and that brought it up to 675. On this one, I kept 2 contracts, but reduced the goals to 500 and 450. And again, I think it was some internet droppage that I got poor execution here. Okay, so next up is the crude oil on the Super Inco 7 tick. This did 540 for the day, and the goal on this is 500. So it looks like decent positive slippage here, and you can see the entirety of the equity curve, very minor drawdown. And again, I was making these to show on a smaller count with modest goals, whether trading 1 or 2 contracts. In this case here, this is roughly $275 per contract as a profit goal. Okay, the E-mini S&P on our regular 5 Renko chart actually reduced the goal on this only like $100, and I think it hit its goal, but we had slippage. Again, this was about the time of, I think, some internet dropped out, and probably we had hit our goal up here, but by the time we exited, it was here, so we had not very good slippage or negative slippage here. Okay, this is the other E-mini S&P 5 Renko chart with a Super Renko 8 higher time frame. The first chart I showed you has a Super Renko 6 higher time frame, and this one has a goal of 400. And on this one, I changed it to a single contract, and so this had excellent positive slippage and very, very little drawdown. Okay, the DAX on the Super Renko 14 tick that normally has a goal of 2,000, I cut all the way down to a profit target of 700 and trading a single contract. And so I did that because of the size of the bars here. But anyway, this did 525 for the day. Not exactly sure what happened here, but nevertheless, the equity high here was more like 615, and then it had a losing trade here. Ended up with 525. Okay, the NASDAQ on a 987 tick line break. I changed this to a single contract with a goal of 500, and this did 435, so I think it hit its goal and had slippage, but it did not draw down to the negative here. Okay, next is the crude oil on a Super Renko 8 tick. Using our line break logic, and this has been a really consistent chart for us, I basically cut the profit target down to 400, and what's interesting about this is the profit target is 40 ticks, which is exactly 400, and we hit our target here. The entry here was 57.51, the exit 57.91. These are both limit orders, and that's why our P&L today is exactly 400 and the 40 ticks here, because it's a limit order on the entry, and anytime you use a profit target, that it is also a limit order. Okay, next is the crude on a 987 Heikin-Ashi tick chart, and this is trading 2 contracts, but I dropped the goal to 420, so we're talking $210 a contract, a 380 loss limit, and so this hit its goal and had a couple of ticks of slippage. The E-mini S&P on a Super Renko 6 tick, using our line break logic, this one starts trading at 12:30 noon, did 387.50 in a single trade. On this one, I reduced the target to 425, so that's 212.50 per contract and a loss limit of 400. And so this kind of goes to show, even starting at an odd hour, this happens to be a good time to start trading. The lunch hour, it gets into the second part of the day, and this chart has performed admirably. And so this was a great demonstration of this just hitting its goal in a single trade and being done trading within a few minutes. Okay, this is another chart that's been super impressive, is the NASDAQ on a Super Renko 8 tick with our open range filter. This did 330 for the day, and I think we had a poor exit here. The goal on this is 500, so I actually think we hit our goal and got a really poor exit. Okay, so this is the E-mini S&P Super Renko 4 tick and with a higher time frame filter of Super Renko 4, but what I did different here is I added the step moving average filter. So first time showing this chart, the goal on this is 375, and the reason I added the step MA because even with the higher time frame, you got these little pullbacks here, and I wanted to avoid this without using precision trend exit. And so this hit its goal and had one tick of slippage. It had no drawdown. It just had a couple of 3 trades, 2 winners and 1 loser. So yeah, very impressed with the open range filter on this chart. Okay, the E-mini S&P on a regular 6 Renko chart with a Super Renko 6 higher time frame, and I dropped the goal to 375. This is trading a single contract, and it ended up with 275 for the day. Very minor drawdown on a single contract, less than a couple of ticks. Okay, next up is the E-mini S&P on our regular 4 range chart. This had 2 trades and did 487.50 using our open range filter, and this has also been very solid and consistent since I've been showing it. The goal on this one is 400, trading a single contract. So I think we again had some poor exit action here. That's all for today's video. Thanks.